Hello, and welcome to The Backroom, where we talk about politics across the country, around the city, and right here in the Bronx. I'm Lisa Schiffren, your host. I'm a former Republican speechwriter.
DavidEisenbach, presidential historian.
And tonight our guest is Michael Vass, who is a political commentator and a podcaster, and he's here to speak with us. Michael.
Hello, I'm glad to be here with both of you and our audience. Should be a fun, interesting time.
Yes. Ghislaine Maxwell had an interview with the Justice Department that went on for 9 hours in 2 days. At the end of the 9 hours in 2 days, she was transferred to a minimum security prison in Texas, which is called, these things are called Club Fed because they are kind of like Club Med, but they are domestic. So it's a playground. What do we make of this? Why did that happen, David?
Well, because Donald Trump's in trouble. She has information that could implicate him with Epstein. He's spinning his wheels. He sent in his personal lawyer, now the number 2 at the Justice Department, Todd Blanche. This is the lawyer who represented him in the Stormy Daniels case. They have this conversation, and then suddenly she gets this cushy job against the Bureau of Prisons regulations that says, anybody convicted of sex trafficking crimes cannot go to this Club Fed. And she gets sprung. And now we're suddenly hearing that she tells the Justice Department that she didn't see anything involving Donald Trump. And the Trump administration says we're going to get the transcript. This is clearly a bad deal for America.
Michael.
I completely and absolutely disagree with that. Let me be clear. If we're going to ever find out anything about these pedophiles, these individuals, then we must have information from Ghislaine Maxwell that will clarify the data that we have. All it tells us right now is we know that Bill Clinton went there 17 times. Okay, but was he there for business? Was he there for other activities? Or was he there to participate in some of the most nefarious things we could think of? Well, the only person who can actually answer that is Ghislaine Maxwell. What's her motivation to tell us? Nothing. She gets 20 years and she won't say a word. But if she gets 19 years, maybe we get an answer. So if the question is, do we make a deal with the devil, because we are, to get some of the greater devils, the more hidden devils that are still in our swamp of a system, then yeah, it's not that bad.
No, that's an interesting point. She definitely wants to get off the hook, and that is what will get her talking.
Yeah, but she's talking and saying exactly what Trump wants her to say. And that's why she gets this special exemption to go to this camp, right, against Bureau of Prison regulations, and she gets this special exemption.
But wait a minute.
When Donald Trump is asked about it, he's like, "Oh, I don't know anything about it."
What if it's actually true that Trump
heard? There's no way some bureaucrat in the Bureau of Prisons approves this thing without the go-ahead from the President of the United States. And why is he doing it? Because he's guilty. He's acting like a guilty man.
No, I think he's innocent.
Innocent. Obviously, he's innocent.
Okay.
Wait. Suddenly it's involved in this brouhaha because he wants to nail Bill Clinton.
No. Wait. Because this is such wonderful hype for Orange Man Bad. And the fact is that when we actually look at this, if there was any credibility to Donald Trump having done anything that is even questionable, the DNC would have taken the opportunity somewhere between 2015 and today, the last decade, to make sure that it was absolutely spoken about to the public and emphasized and pointed out in the most negative way possible.
Totally true. There's no chance that he was screwing young girls and the Democrats let him off the hook and didn't actually.
Except if outing Donald Trump would also lead to the outing of, among others, Bill Clinton and major contributors and the power structure that is, the list that we already know. And after talking about for years, Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, right, Donald Trump himself, talking about the Epstein list. Suddenly it disappears, doesn't exist. And yet the Justice Department, without anybody's signature on it, tells us that there were 1,000 victims, okay? And it's only Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell who are involved in victimizing 1,000 girls.
No,
okay?
all right, look,
and then she gets a special exemption to go to the Club Fed.
Okay, David, give me a chance here. I think it's entirely possible that plenty of these men who we know about, these powerful men, were guilty.
Why would Donald Trump be covering up for these other powerful men?
Well, for one thing, you can actually you can get people to do what you want if you have dirt on them. But if that dirt is spilled, then you get nothing from it. So he's in a much better position to leverage his knowledge.
To finally get to the bottom of this story? I mean, come on.
Well, come on.
He's playing 4D chess, but he looks like a child.
Well, wait a minute. No, that's not true. That's maybe the way that
he's spinning his wheels.
But David, that may be the way that some people would like to look at that because they don't like Donald Trump. I don't care if you like him or not. That has nothing to do with his performance. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. Let me clarify.
MAGA has.
Let me clarify, David. Let me clarify.
David, let Michael talk. Let Michael talk.
Let me clarify one of the things that people are wondering about. Why would Democrats and Republicans have put off as long as they have and deny as much as they have about any potential list that may exist?
Because they're all guilty.
The answer is very simple, because there's something called the CIA, the MI5, the Mossad, and God knows possibly other intelligence agencies that may have great deals of information about enemies of the United States and perhaps our allies, including the British royal family. And in putting out that information, we may lose assets of our intelligence agencies. We may offend some of our greatest allies, which could have long-reaching and many difficulties. Now, am I happy about that? No. But that is the political reality of dealing with international politics.
Well,
it is not as simple as, it's just because of Trump. It's just not.
That's how Jeffrey Epstein got that sweetheart deal where he was able to, just leave the prison originally, because the federal government, right, with Alex Acosta as the U.S. attorney down there, said to the judge, this guy is an intelligence asset, and we can't go further into this matter. And our federal government, and this is Democrats and Republicans, they are both in on it. It's multiple administrations. They have been in on this cover-up because they know that the Jeffrey Epstein road leads to intelligence agencies, and there's one intelligence agency in particular that it leads to, and no one can talk about that one.
Well, everyone talks about the CIA, but that's not the biggest deal.
CIA, my friend.
Oh, he's talking about Mossad.
Yeah, of course he's talking about Mossad. Why? Because he wants it to be Mossad.
I want it to be Mossad. I didn't make this up. I'm not the one who made up the Mossad connections that go back to Ghislaine Maxwell's father, Robert Maxwell.
No, now you're speculating because we don't know that. I'm
not speculating. This is
speculating. There's absolutely no evidence. So you are speculating.
There's no evidence. Everybody who knows anything
that's
about
hearsay.
this case knows
You're
that
saying
Robert Maxwell was a Mossad agent who was given a honorary funeral in Jerusalem
David,
after
you're
he
taking
died.
things that
and you don't
seem
get
like
that for no reason.
this is a silly, what is it? It's a slippery slope analogy that you're using here. It's just not accurate. It seems like all of these things that may or may not, I'm not telling you he is or is not. What I am saying is he possibly connected to several intelligence agencies? Probably. And if he is, that may have influence and affect other things internationally, which is complicating this situation. Am I happy about that? No. But again, that makes it more important that we get to speak to Ghislaine Maxwell, to get her to give us as much information that can be corroborated by the data that we do have, to get a clear and specific answer on these things, rather than speculation based on Orange Man Bag.
Release the files. Release the files. That's all we want. Release the files. Why won't Trump do that, Michael?
And on this note, we're going to switch subjects.
Fair enough.
Because
that's a convenient moment. That's what Donald Trump wants. Why are we still talking about Epstein? Let's talk about Texas. Something else.
all right, let's talk about Texas.
Okay.
In Texas, all of the Democratic legislators have absconded to Illinois and New York. This is a stunning behavior. They're a little afraid of voting on what they claim is a gerrymandering situation. I think there's an argument that Republicans ought to be gerrymandering as much as they can, because Democrats have certainly done it. If you look at the legislative maps of most blue states, you see barely contiguous congressional districts that are set up for maximum blue winning, and I think it's a good thing that Governor Abbott of Texas is actually playing the same game. What do you think, Michael?
Oh, I absolutely think that it's tit for tat. If we can see that happen in New York, California, Illinois, if we see it in the bluest of blue states, are we surprised that in Republican states they're going to do the same thing and try and maintain their balance? In fact, if we were to see a more even balance in New York, California, Texas, and Illinois, then Democrats would have lost roughly about 5 to 10 seats in Congress, and they know that. And so this is all about protecting the Democratic Party. Has nothing to do with people, what's happening in Texas right now. They ran away, broke their oath of office. They have harmed their citizens for the ability of the Democratic Party to have more ease in getting elected in the next election cycle, make it easier for them to get more money. But that's about political ambition. It's not about helping the people. This is evil, what's happening in Texas right now. And sadly, the mainstream media, which has a bias, which is in favor of the progressive Democratic movement, they're covering up for them. And that's really sick.
David.
Well, Elbridge Gerry is the guy that we got the gerrymandering term from, and he signed the Constitution. So it's been going on since the beginning of American politics, gerrymandering. The political party in charge messes around with the congressional districts to reinforce their power. There's nothing new here, but it's not a good thing for America.
No, it's not good, but it's also something that not only is it not good, in this case, it is harmful. We got to remember, the Texas Democrats who are running away, it's not like in 2021 when they ran away, they didn't know what they were talking about, and they just raised more money and made it easier for Democrats to get reelected in Texas. No, what we have right now is there are flood victims who are suffering. They cannot get financial aid to recover from the devastating flash floods that killed 107 people. And guess what? The only reason why that's happening is because Democrats, they have no plan, they have no leadership. Their only way of being able to maintain the stranglehold they have in Texas is by gerrymandering the district, allowing the districts to not be gerrymandered. It's about political gain. They're actually harming people for political gain. And if you were to actually tell that to the American people, no one would support them, which is why they keep trying to say, it's about race, it's about black voters. No, it's not. There is no voter in America, in any state, that cannot vote if they want to. And they know that in Texas as much as they know it about anywhere else. And this is all just smokescreen for political theater.
Well, one of the problems is there were so many people moving from California to Texas. It started to shift some of these congressional districts that used to be solidly red to purple. So that's really what's going on here. It's not so much about race; it's about Californians.
Well, according to State Representative Jolanda Jones yesterday on Don Lemon, it's completely about race.
You can make everything about race. The big concern is there are too many Democrats in Texas right now. That's what the Republicans are really about.
No.
And you know what? It's probably true that there are too many Democrats in Texas right now. But
racial gerrymandering has been going on. We've had Supreme Court cases going back to the 1980s about racial gerrymandering. In this particular case, the problem is too many Democrats spread out around Texas.
On that note, we are going to go to break. Please stick with us, and we'll be here when you get back. Or you'll be here when we get back, one way or the other. Thank you.
At the Marijuana Regulation and Taxation Act that amends New York City Labor Law 201D. It balances legal rights of workers and those of employers, while recognizing federal law. It protects those that are over 21 and legally employed. However, it doesn't protect illegal activities having to do with cannabis. Protection is regardless of immigration or citizenship status. Here's the rundown. Between work hours, it grants employers certain abilities. But employers can't restrict employees' use of cannabis during non-work hours. However, the amended New York Labor Law, Section 201D4A, lets employers take employment action or prohibit employee conduct where employers can't drug test employees except in situations where it's mandatory by the state or federal government for certain jobs.
Welcome back to the back room. This week, President Trump, I think, reacting to the allegations of starvation in Gaza, suggested that Americans should take over food distribution in Gaza. What do you think about that, Michael?
Well, the biggest thing is that the United States shouldn't really be involved in this anymore. Now that we've finally gotten back the 2 last living American citizens that were being tortured and sexually abused by Hamas for over 582 days, I'm happy that they're back. I'm upset still that 17 out of 22 Americans were killed by Hamas. I think that ended our time there. We don't need to be drawn back into this conflict. And quite honestly, we really need to put pressure on Hamas. They have been given the opportunity for 18 months now to end this at any moment. The entire world has agreed and will support them in getting humanitarian aid, feeding their people. All they have to do, give back the last remaining hostages. And Hamas continues to say, no, you know what, let's not feed into this. We're out of this. Stay out of it.
Hamas should not be deciding whether children starve to death or not. The United States has the capability of feeding those starving children, and we should.
You know what? Oddly enough, I agree with you, David. I think that Israel is under too much suspicion worldwide for being too much of an antagonist to Hamas and the Palestinians. And I think it's important that they get their food. And I think that the United States, while I don't like the idea that we would be in there doing this, still in all, I think it's a benefit to the Palestinians and to the world that, you know, that we take up this job.
And we're the only ones that can, and I think will be able to do it.
We're not the only ones who can. We may do it, but the easiest and best long-term answer still remains the same thing. Hamas needs to stand up and...
No, nobody's arguing with that. Of
Right.
course, Hamas needs to give up the captured, the prisoners, and that ends the war.
Done.
Right. That would be
We
great.
have the logistics and we have the connections with Israel to be able to do it. No one else has them.
No,
We should do
I agree. I agree with that. All right. It's that time of the week where we focus our attention on the greatest living threat to New York City in our lifetimes. Zohran Mamdani, who is probably going to be elected mayor in the fall. What do we think? Well, how was his week?
Well, it's pretty good for a socialist. And I'm sure that
Yeah, he got to go to funerals. That always makes people look important.
you're a socialist. There's funerals. They're like hand in hand. I mean, how many people have died under socialism around the world? Almost as many have died from any other religion. It's horrendous. And sadly, he's had a decent week because Eric Adams has been denied matching funds again. Do I want to see Eric Adams in the race? I don't want to see him win, but I want him in the race. Cuomo has been denied matching funds. That's good news for everybody. But
Which one of those two do you think should step down?
I want them all in because that makes it better for Curtis
Yeah,
Sliwa.
but which one of those could beat Mamdani?
Curtis Sliwa.
Do you really think that?
Yes.
I think even Curtis Sliwa benefits if either Adams or Cuomo steps down.
Absolutely not. We need...
Well, okay, yeah. But
I can tell you
if
why.
you're so concerned about Mamdani, either it's Adams or Cuomo who needs to step down.
No.
Right? And Cuomo, instead of like now re-embracing and entering the race, he's just gotten quiet again. It's like pathetic.
It is
At
pathetic.
least Adams has a fighting chance.
No, I was for Cuomo too until he stopped functioning. He
He needs money. His money pipeline got kicked.
He needs money. He needs a message. He needs something that he's running on. There's it's silence from him.
He needs some energy.
Energy.
I don't mind that he's weak because I don't want him to win. But I just want him strong enough. And I'm looking at this purely from a political point of view. And of course, I'm a Republican conservative. I want him just strong enough to be the hindrance to Mamdani, but yet not strong enough to actually gain any momentum. That's just the honest truth about it. And honestly, looking at what he offers, that's all he can be, is a hindrance.
What do you think Curtis Sliwa would have to do to actually generate more voter support?
The Republican Party needs to get behind him. The New York GOP needs to actually stand behind him and actually say that they will fund him, do some of his commercials, and get out there and promote some of the things that he's done. Just earlier this summer, I was covering Curtis Sliwa. None of the mainstream news media came out to do this. None of the representatives, Richie Torres, New York 15th, did not come out to go to the proposed ion battery site for the Bronx, which is located directly in a residential center, about 2 blocks away from a school. And if we know anything about these lithium-ion batteries, when they explode, and they do, these plants go up all the time, that they have about a 7-mile radius of chemicals in the air that are cancerous and are toxic.
And this was in the Bronx?
This is in the Bronx. It's right down on Boston Road, and you can go right there. It's about 5 miles from where I actually live, and it's right in a residential zone. When we were actually there protesting, I was recording, but when Curtis Sliwa was there protesting with some others, the family right next door to the lithium where they're proposing to build this plant came out with her children. The mother and her children came out saying, no one even told her that they were going to do this. They had no signs up on what was being built there. No one's being told about the danger to the public. Hello, GOP, get behind Curtis Sliwa. Let's tell the public about this danger. There are 17 of these plants being built around New York City, and in all of them in residential zones because it's cheaper than actually getting commercial zone. How about the American people get a chance to vote on whether or not they want that kind of life-threatening danger for their children? I know Curtis Sliwa was willing to talk about it. Why won't the Democrats? Because they don't care.
But you know what? Curtis Sliwa does not seem to know how to generate PR. He doesn't get attention when he talks substance. This thing you're talking about, I've never even heard of this.
I have 25 minutes of him actually speaking on this. He's great with substance. The problem is the mainstream news media have already picked their decision. If you look at anyone, you talk to anyone across America or around the world, there's only 3 people in this race. And honestly, they'll probably only pick 2. They'll say it's Cuomo and it's going to be Mamdani. What happened to everyone else? No one talks about Jim Walden, which understandably, he's the odd man out in the race. But there's 5 people in this race. And if you look anywhere in the mainstream news media, you see nothing about any of them because the mainstream has already made their choice.
David, what do you think?
Well, I think if anyone is going to raise this issue, it would be Curtis Sliwa, because this ties into money and real estate. And in New York, that's what talks. So thank God for Curtis Sliwa bringing up this big issue.
You don't think it's a big issue that if a lithium battery,
we agree with you. It's a big issue. We just hadn't heard of it.
It's a huge issue. It should be a big issue in the media. But,
Yes.
It's just like no one pays attention to these things like this that happen every day. And that's not the only environmental disaster that's happening on our streets.
Absolutely. So when I say that Curtis Sliwa can have a chance, what he needs is the GOP to stand behind him so it shows some strength.
The GOP in New York, I hate to say this, as a Republican, they don't have the strength to stand behind him. They don't know how to actually muster all of the power that they should be able to draw.
Michael, what's wrong with the New York GOP?
You know what? Wait.
They got money.
What's
right?
wrong? No, they don't have money.
No, we don't.
What's wrong with the GOP would be the worthy subject of another half hour. Right now, we're going to actually have to wrap up. Thank you so much for being with us tonight, Michael.
Thank you, Michael.
And please come back next week for more of The Back Room.